Next year, BC's report cards are changing. This year, many educators are adopting next year's mandated changes ahead of time. The new approach to report cards and evaluating student progress has been a long time coming and is a welcome change that will encourage students to adopt a growth mindset and help educators report more helpful information to the families of students. My name is Clay McLeod, and I'm a teacher at SMS in Kelowna. I'm working to communicate student learning in better ways in order to help keep families informed and to help students grow.
Central Okanagan School District, or School District 23, has criteria for communicating student learning, or CSL. One of the criteria is clear learning intentions. There are also the requirement for meaningful learning experiences, student ownership of learning, authentic evidence of learning, and thoughtful descriptive feedback of learning.
In our team, we have been working on aligning our approach to assessment and communicating student learning to the new reporting framework, the curriculum, and what's best for students.
The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has developed or conceived of 7 principles of learning, and School District 23 is using those 7 principles of learning in order to inform our approach in schools and classrooms around the district. Principle 1, learners at the center. Principle 2, the social nature of learning. Principle 3, emotions are integral to learning. Principle 4, recognizing individual differences. Principle 5, stretching all students. Principle 6, assessment for learning. And Principle 7, building horizontal connections between subjects. Putting learners at the center is the first principle of learning, and student ownership of learning is one of the district's CSL criteria. We value this and aspire to put it into practice in our classrooms.
We hope to teach students how to take ownership of their learning by having them collect authentic evidence of their learning and use that evidence to report on their own learning in a Google slide deck called a student learning profile and a Google Site digital portfolio.
Learning is social, and flexible CSL structures like student learning portfolios and student-led conferences create opportunities for conversations about learning between students, parents, and teachers. Emotions are integral to learning, and moving to CSL will allow students to develop their personal and social competency, self-regulation, and executive functioning. CSL meets all students where they are and allows for us to provide more personalized feedback in order to tailor our message to each student's circumstances, as opposed to the cookie-cutter approach of traditional report cards. A big part of CSL is trying to develop in students a growth mindset so that all students can stretch and be challenged to do their best and make progress from where they are. A growth mindset is the idea that everyone can learn and get better at things, as opposed to a fixed mindset, which is the idea that a person's intelligence is static. The proficiency scale represents the potential for progress that all students have, as opposed to letter grades, which lead students to potentially identifying as, for example, a C student or an A student, or so on. CSL is connected to assessment, and we want to assess students in ways that will help them to learn rather than judge or rank them. This is called assessment for learning. It is based on the learning standards in the curriculum and guides our approach to CSL. For all of these reasons, we are moving away from traditional report cards, which can be a scary and demotivating experience for many students, and letter grades, which can discourage a growth mindset and encourage a fixed mindset. Instead, we want to provide a range of informative CSL documents and opportunities for conversations about learning. At the base of our approach to CSL are the province's new proficiency scale and the idea of giving thoughtful, strength-based, and descriptive feedback.
The main part of the document is a holistic term comment that describes the student's attitudes, effort, and behavior, rather than a G, S, or N in each subject, and a description of the student's growth or progress over the term in relation to the foundational learning and other noteworthy aspects of their learning, as well as next steps for that student. By making a term comment, we hope to promote the building of horizontal connections between subjects and present a picture of the student as a whole child.
Instruction, assessment, and communicating about student learning are deeply connected. This is reflected in the district's criteria for CSL.
Our ongoing communication, websites, emails, conferences, Google Classroom, give you an idea of the learning targets we are working towards and the assignments and activities that we are doing to meet those targets. These things are essential aspects of communicating about student learning, but they are not part of the report card. The next part of the document shows you how your child is progressing in relation to those learning targets in each subject. In other words, the proficiency scales show how the students' work on assignments and performance in class demonstrates their knowledge, abilities, and understanding. Possible levels of performance include emerging, developing, proficient, and extending. The target is for students to become proficient in relation to content, curricular competencies, and big ideas in each subject. In other words, to know, do, and understand. Emerging means an initial ability and understanding. Developing means partial ability and understanding. Proficient means that the student knows the content, understands the big ideas, and has the abilities. Extending means that the student has deep understanding, extensive knowledge, or sophisticated abilities. The student's level of performance will be indicated by simply naming the level of performance, just the word. While many individual assessments on assignments may indicate that the student's level of performance on that assignment is in between one of the main four: acquiring between emerging and developing, refining between developing and proficient, and mastering between proficient and extending. For the report card, students can only be at one level of the four. This means that many students will be at the developing level in many subjects, and this is nothing to be concerned about. Gaining proficiency is a process and a journey, and all students take different routes and different amounts of time to get to the destination.
We are hoping that this method of communicating about student learning will help students to grow as learners and make the best progress that they are able to, with our teaching team, the students, and you, the families, working together to support students. Thank you for watching.